UConn Huskies are back at Gamble Pavilion for the first time in more than a month as they welcome in North Florida out of the Atlantic Sun Conference, and all the action coming your way right here on SNY. Hi everybody, Gary Apple alongside the former Providence and Iona head coach Tim Welsh. Connecticut coming off a loss 8 days ago at Ohio State, a game, Timmy, that went to the wire. What about consistency moving forward for UConn? How do they find that?
Well, they've had to retool their whole operation here, and there's no doubt about it with the injuries sustained for the season. And they're starting to play more zone. They'll probably play a lot of zone today and moving forward. And I think that's a great idea because this has to be a defensive, grinded-out type team. They have to learn how to rebound in the zone, but I think they can be effective in it. Offense continues to be a problem. They don't have a lot of options outside of Jalen Adams. They have to get more balance, especially up front. For Connecticut to have success in this game today, they've got to shut down one of the most explosive offensive players in the country. His name is Dallas Moore. He's averaging over 23 a game. He's the reigning Atlantic Sun Player of the Year. Well, he's an explosive guard. There's no doubt about it. He can make shots from a lot of different spots on the floor, and Matt Driscoll says, you go, and we go as he goes. They've played a very difficult schedule, and he's lived up to the bill against some big-time teams this year. Connecticut has to play their zone differently against him. They have to shade to him and understand where he is at all times. This is the first ever meeting between Connecticut and North Florida. Going to have the starting lineups and the opening tip when we come back from stores in just a moment. UConn men's basketball on SNY is brought to you by Toyota. The holidays are back, and so is Toyota-thon. Toyota, let's go places. By Bob's Discount Furniture, proud to be the official furniture store of the UConn Huskies. By the Connecticut State Farm agents of the game, Anthony Raggi in stores and Taylene Carvelo in Danbury. Speak with them today. And by GMC. For great year-end deals on a new GMC, visit ctbuickgmcdealers.com. We get a check of today's starting lineups presented by Bob's Discount Furniture. UConn led by Jalen Adams, averaging just under 18 per game. Both Van Jackson and Kenton Facey are in the starting lineup today for North Florida. As we mentioned at the outset, Dallas Moore has been tremendous. 5 30-point games so far this season. They've got two freshmen in there, Garrett Sands and Wajid Aminu. Let's welcome in third member of our broadcast crew, Taylor Brooks. Hi, Taylor.
Hey, Gary. You know, of course, UConn has not played a basketball game. Last time was 8 days ago. They had 3 days off of practice due to finals, and within that time, they've been trying to improve their zone defense. When I spoke to Christian Vital, he said, you know, it's an adjustment. I'm a man-to-man guy, but we're going to have to get better at it. Said with our wingspan that we have on the team, we're able to get that good length so that we can go zone. And associate head coach Glenn Miller said, hey, we have a short bench. We have to do zone more, and we'll see more zone in today's game than you will see man. Gary?
All right, Taylor, we thank you as we got a look right there at Kevin Ollie. Picked up his 100th win last time we were on the air, Tim, against Boston University. Wajid Aminu in the visiting blue uniforms, and Kenton Facey for UConn in the home white jumping center. And it's Connecticut that comes down with it in the hands of Jalen Adams.
Well, Connecticut's going to play a lot of zone today, and they're going to see a lot of zone. North Florida is not going to go out and chase UConn on the perimeter. They're going to make them make shots from the outside.
Purvis, Adams with the shot clock at 10. Facey coming out to set a high ball screen. From the right corner, Purvis doesn't have it go down, and here's Dallas Moore coming out. Bodiger launching a three, first bucket of the game for North Florida.
Well, a concern for North Florida on the season. Aaron Bodiger only 27% after leading the Atlantic Sun a year ago at 48. Good sign early.
Oh, he spoke with Matthew Driscoll, the head coach at North Florida, before the game. He's trying to figure out why Bodiger is struggling offensively. Kenton Facey can't get it to go down. He's been shooting the ball very well in recent days, getting the start today. He's 10 for his last 14 over the course of his last 3 games. There's the big man, number 33, Romello Banks. And North Florida out of the gate, 5-0.
Well, out of the gate, you have to defend around on the box, and that's just way too easy. UConn has to do a better job protecting down low.
North Florida coming out in a zone. Adams, nice feed, inside, up fake by Facey, and he's fouled, going to shoot 2.
Kevin honored, as you said, for his 100th win, and I think doing an outstanding job with this team. It's been one thing after another this season, but the game at Ohio State, they gave a great effort. Just the second half, just turned the ball over too much against a quality basketball team who was coming off a loss to an Atlantic Sun team themselves against Florida Atlantic in Ohio State.
Kenton Facey knocks down the first free throw, shooting 62% from the line so far this season. As a team, Connecticut shooting at just 61% from the free throw line. That has not helped their cause. UConn some full court pressure. How about the mixing and the matching of defenses that Kevin Ollie is doing right now?
Well, you can't just give a team a steady dose of anything when you don't have a long, experienced bench. So they're going to try to mix and match. They'll play some 2-3. They'll extend out three-quarter court, and they'll also play some 1-3-1 as well.
Banks, 6 feet 11 inches tall, 252 pounds, very soft baby hook. He's got 4 points early on here for the North Florida Ospreys.
Well, Banks has shown that he has ability to make that jump hook, and Brima going right back at him with his own move on the box.
Nita Brima averaging just under 7 points a game this season. Beautiful baby hook inside for his first bucket. There's Dallas Moore putting it up high off the glass. Minu, the offensive rebound, gets it again. Back to Moore for 3. UConn's got numbers if they push. Adams has it knocked away by the freshman, Garrett Sams. Moore attacking. Not even close. Up and down we go here early on at Gamble Pavilion.
Now, Moore probably should have dished that one off on the 2-on-1. The defense came right at him. He tried to make a difficult shot in transition.
Kenton Facey, foul line jumper. That's a really soft touch right there by Kenton Facey. He's got 4 early points.
Well, if UConn is going to do anything this year, Kenton Facey is an important piece up front because he can make that shot, and he is a good rebounder as of late.
Wajid Aminu, the freshman, giving it up to fellow freshman Garrett Sams, and Aminu Brima would have none of it, swatting it out of bounds, his first block of the day.
Good job by Amita Brima, but he's coming out of the game because of the fact that they want to talk to him about some of his low post defense on his own man, and Romello Banks, too easy catching the ball down in the box, but good help defense on that possession by Brima.
Aaron Bodiger, that one won't go down. Brima, by the way, averaging just under 3 blocks per game on the season. That's tops in the American Conference. Very soft baby hook by Stephen Enoch, who's just checked in. It's pretty obvious right now. They're going to try to pound the ball down onto the low block.
Well, they are, and it's a good move by Kevin, I think, giving Enoch some early minutes, try to get him some confidence because he's been low percentage down in the box, but that was a nice soft move.
Aminu, the freshman, he took the extra step. It's going to go back over to the Huskies.
Well, we talked about Enoch, and Stephen Enoch, he's only shooting 31% on the season, and this is what UConn needs to see a lot more of. Not only the baby hook, but carving out better space, working to get the ball closer to the rim.
Christian Vitalis checked into the game for the first time for the Huskies. Rodney Purvis sits down. There's Vance Jackson from the left corner, not even close, didn't even catch iron. Aminu, number 2, the brother of El Farouk Aminu, plays in the NBA, former first-round pick out of Wake Forest, now with the Portland Trail Blazers. So Connecticut has the early lead. They lead at 8-7 over North Florida. UConn Huskies looking to even their record on the season at 5-5. They lead by 1 early on, and they've gone inside early, Tim.
Well, the great thing about Connecticut so far this afternoon is they're not settling against the zone, and that's been an issue in the past when teams have played in the zone. They've kind of stood around, but now they're trying to attack the interior. You see points in the paint going early to Brima and also Enoch, and Kenton Facey with that little soft, feathery jumper with a half a foot in the paint.
Well, you know, I was speaking with Kevin Ollie this morning about Kenton Facey, and he said a lot of it with Facey is confidence. And when you think about it, Tim, this was a young man who came out of campus his freshman year. They won the national championship, and he's sort of gone through a lot of ups and downs. But if he can provide not just the sort of rebounding that he does provide quite often, but an offensive force as well, it changes the complexion of this Connecticut team.
Well, you know what, Gary, I think also when a player like Kenton Facey, some guys, everybody's different mentality-wise, and I think after watching him for 4 years, I think he's playing a little bit more freer out there on the floor because there's no threat of him coming out of the game, because it's a limited threat because they don't have the body. So he's just, probably a year ago or even earlier in the season, he wouldn't have flashed into the middle of that zone and taken that jumper. He would have maybe hesitated, but now he's feeling a little bit more confident in his offensive game.
That steal by Vance Jackson, and then the subsequent foul on the freshman Wajid Aminu. As number 1, Carlos Odom checks into the game for Aminu, his first action of the day. North Florida has missed their last 7 shots. Christian Vitale trying to get it down to Juwan Durham, who has checked in. And it's going to stay with Connecticut.
Well, Vitale has to be careful with that decision because Durham was not open. He had 2 defenders around him down on the box, and they have to continue to be patient against this zone.
Juwan Durham did not play against Ohio State, was down with a bad case of the flu. It's been going through this Connecticut team. Kenton Facey was not feeling well at the Garden against Syracuse. Little left-hand hook inside, and look at Enoch, the ability, Tim, to go to the offhand.
Well, this is what we thought we'd see from Stephen Enoch at the beginning of this season, but disappointing at best, finishing around the basket, but looks much more confident today.
UConn on an 8-0 run now to take the lead at 10-7. The freshman, Garrett Sams, to Banks inside, and Romello Banks, he's got 6 of the 9 North Florida points.
Soft hands inside and that ability just to find a way to the rim.
Durham carving out a little bit of space with his body, but could not finish at the 10. North Florida coming in at 4-9 on the season. They've played a very difficult schedule so far, facing the likes of Syracuse and Arkansas, Florida, LSU. It's been a tough test so far for Matthew Driscoll and his team. Shot clock coming up on 5. Banks, wild hook shot, and he's bailed out right there by Enoch.
Ooh, that is a big bailout, because I was about to say that's about as good a defense in the half-court man-to-man that I've seen Connecticut play in a long time. They really got locked in on their help on the ball screens, doing a good job keeping more out of the paint, and forced Banks way off the box, but a silly foul by Enoch.
Matthew Driscoll, by the way, in his 8th season here at North Florida, took them to the NIT a season ago, NCAA tournament the year before that. So he's really done a nice job with his program.
A lot of high energy from Matt Driscoll, and singing the praises of the Atlantic Sun Conference before the game today, and rightfully so, with Florida Gulf Coast and Stetson and a lot of good programs. Kennesaw State with our friend Al Skinner down there running the show. Yes. So there's a lot of good programs in that league. NJIT, the great Brian Kennedy running the show as well, and it's a nice conference.
Jacksonville also in that conference. And, you know, when you think about the history of college basketball, you think about Jacksonville. That was a long time ago, 1970, played UCLA in the NCAA championship
Speak
game.
for yourself, Gary. I wasn't born then.
My goodness gracious. I was just a pup. Beautiful feed inside. Bryma finishing off the feed from Jalen Adams. The bucket and the foul. He's got a chance at a conventional 3-point play.
I like the way Connecticut's come out of the locker room today. They are very focused. They're locked in on their preparation, patient on the offensive end, really moving the ball, probing the defense, and making the extra pass.
Jalen Adams leads Connecticut in both scoring and assists at 17.9 points per game and just a little bit over 5 assists per game as Bryma finishes off the 3-point play to extend the lead to 3. And that's 3 assists on the day for Adams. Nick Malunga, number 23, is checked in for North Florida. He's got the basketball, the redshirt junior out of Bolingbrook, Illinois. Shot clock under 5. Dallas Moore, an NBA range 3, and he nails it to tie the game.
Kevin Ollie even clapped for Moore and said, that is a big-time play, young man.
That is the first bucket of the game for Dallas Moore. Christian Vitale, nothing but nylon, and that's a really good sign for Connecticut. He was 0 for 10 coming in his last couple of games from beyond the arc.
They are sticking to Dallas Moore. Despite that last basket, they are not giving any help. It's basically 4 men playing 4-on-4, and then one guy locked in on Moore.
Carlos Odom can't finish at the rim, and it's Facey who comes down with it.
They're switching on all ball screens, doing a very, very good job. I like the game plan on Moore.
Nice crowd here at Campbell Pavilion today, considering finals ended today. A lot of the students have made their way home for the holiday season. Adams might have gotten away with a travel teardrop, and well, that might have come down. Facey knocked it away. It was just over the side of the rim. Moore pulling up. Boy, what a quick trigger that is. And Dallas Moore back-to-back threes, and he ties the game at 16.
You better get up on his left hand because he will pull it fast.
And back the other way. Christian Vitale, anything you can do, I can do just as well.
Well, what is going on here today? Points. We're seeing points on a Sunday afternoon in stores. This is beautiful basketball.
Amita Bryma going to work inside off the feed from Jalen Adams. We're seeing some offense, and we're back in a moment. UConn shooting 54% early on to open a 3-point lead over North Florida. And Tim Welsh, it's been a bit of a shootout so far, beginning with Dallas Moore of the Ospreys.
Well, we're talking about the offense, Gary. We're used to the 52-50 games so far this season here in Storrs and in Hartford, but early on, both teams locking in. First going inside, now loosening up from the perimeter, getting it out in transition, pushing it up the sideline before the defense gets set.
As I mentioned, Christian Vitale, 0 of 6 from deep against Ohio State, and so to see him knocking down some early threes coming into the game, shooting just 26% from beyond the arc, and that's really important because he's going to see significant playing time, especially as we get into conference play.
Well, he made the 2 big free throws at the Garden against Syracuse and ran out of the building screaming, "This is my city," but it was his only points of the day. They were huge ones, but he is a good-looking player, very smart on the floor, tough and confident. There you see a little bit slow, though, Connecticut shifting in the zone to the corner.
Let's check in right now with Taylor Rooks. Taylor.
Hey, Gary, I listened into the North Florida huddle, and Coach Driscoll actually said, do not let this game become a shootout. If we make a shot, don't let Vitale go down and make one as well. He said, you guys do not have a sense of urgency. And when you have urgency, you never fail. He said that's exactly what UNF stands for. Gary?
Facey putting it up there for Amita Bryma, the second alley-oop dunk of the game for Amita Bryma. And he's got 7 points now to lead Connecticut.
Nice delivery by Facey, not known as a guy who can pinpoint pass. Only his 5th assist on the season, but a nice delivery at the rim.
Aaron Pottinger thought about it. Romello Banks trying to go to work inside. And it's Bryma who comes out of there with it for Connecticut. Rodney Purvis. Trying to make a nifty feed. Moore comes back out of there and wisely backs it out for North Florida. Kevin Ollie was pointing right at Christian Vitale to get in Dallas Moore's face as Banks comes up short. Here comes Adams on the run all the way to the 10, and it falls, and Connecticut has opened up a 7-point lead. Jalen Adams now, his first bucket of the game for UConn.
Well, if North Florida is going to get Dallas Moore open, they've got to get him moving around and maybe setting some screens for him because UConn is not letting him free on the perimeter. They're paying big-time attention to him. They've got to try to set some screens on the man that's guarding him.
Aaron Pottinger continues to struggle from beyond the arc. He's 1 for 4 in today's game. From the left corner, Rodney Purvis, too hard off the iron. North Florida shooting it at 45% as a team so far this season. Boy, Tallis Moore creating space for himself. Banks on the offensive glass and a whistle.
Well, this is what Connecticut loves to do against the zone. And here again, going right into that foul line area. And when North Florida doesn't come up, they don't commit to the middle, they don't commit to the back. They're in no man's land. They throw it right over the top to finish.
That foul was on Jalen Adams. That's his first of the game. And the third on Connecticut here in the first half as we're under 10 minutes to go here. First half, Campo Pavilion on the campus of the University of Connecticut. There's Christian Vitale, the quick hand, spotting Rodney Purvis, who glides in. They're going to wave off the basket. They're going to call Purvis for an extra step.
The Hawkeye of Jeff Clark caught Purvis. Just took that little extra step of Vitale. Great quick hands, toughness, just awareness as a freshman. Not sure about that, but Jeff's got those veteran eyes. He saw something.
Well, point of emphasis this year, they haven't changed a lot of things, but traveling is one of the things they're really paying close attention to this season. Moore all the way high, almost goes over the backboard. It rolls off and he stays with it, and he's hammered, and he's going to shoot two as Purvis got him on his way up to the bucket.
Dallas Moore just relentless, just trying to find an angle, and he threw up some kind of wild and crazy shots, and mostly he is a high percentage guy, shooting 50% as a guard. That is incredible for a guy who takes high volume of shots, but Connecticut is not going to make it easy for him today. They are gearing everything they do defensively on Moore, but that time he prevailed with the second effort.
He's an 89% free throw shooter, but he misses the first one. He's the only North Florida player averaging in double figures, and Matthew Driscoll is fine with that. He said he can shoot as much, and he's got a green light constantly. Shoot as much as he wants.
He's earned it over 4 years, and Matt Driscoll has an outstanding program at North Florida, and it's been fun to watch their program grow over the last 5-6 years under his direction.
Again, they won the regular season Atlantic Sun a season ago and then lost in the conference tournament semifinals. Facey's cut off, but fades away. Really, that's a nice soft touch at the rim as Kenton Facey now has 6 points on 2 of 4 shooting from the field. And then Facey getting it done on the defensive end as he blocks Aminu. Jackson cutting in off the wing. Can't get it to go, but he's going to shoot two as he is hacked on his way to the bucket by Nick Malunga.
Well, some guys you watch grow in college basketball and you say, where is their growth? Why aren't they getting better? But we're seeing Kenton Facey improve as a senior from game to game. And again, I think it's just his confidence level being given those extra minutes and given the ability to say, listen, you can take those shots in the lane. You've got Brime up front. You're learning how to play with him defensively. And I think he can be a really good defender in the back line of that zone at that forward spot because he's got obvious great length and ability to block shots at the rim, but also the quickness to get out on the perimeter and guard quick forwards.
Vance Jackson knocked down the first free throw, 65% free throw shooter on the season, made his 4th start of the year today. Facey made his 5th start of the season. And, you know, when you speak about Facey, you know, sometimes we really zone in on these guys just as players, but he lost his dad before last season, and in many ways he was lost. And it's been a tough road for him to, not just basketball-wise, but in life, get it back together.
There's no doubt, and just a good teammate as well. He talked to everyone around the program. They're just really happy that he's having a good year.
Christian Vitale attacking the tin, and man, he's been terrific off the bench so far for Kevin Ollie as the Huskies have opened up a double-digit lead.
Well, first it was inside, then it's outside. Now they've got their running shoes out in stores. Who says it's gloomy outside? It's sparkly inside at the rack, Vitale.
Stay on top of all things UConn on SNYUConn.com, presented by Mercedes-Benz, part of the SNY.TV blog network. The Huskies lead it by 11, They've held North Florida to 29% shooting, and Amita Brima, a big part of that defense.
Well, there's a lot of different ways you can present yourself defensively as a basket protector, but Amita Brima really has evolved over his 4 seasons here. You see here, just playing good body-up defense down low. He doesn't block the shot against Banks, but he really alters the shot, and in truth, probably in the first 2 or maybe even 3 years of his playing time here at Connecticut, that would have absolutely been a foul. He would have hacked him right over the arm. Instead, he held his ground. He went straight up in the air and just altered the shot. And he's really become a solid team defender on the interior.
3rd all-time in block shots here at Connecticut, as the Huskies are in the midst of a 10-1 run to open this lead to double digits. Bottiger, Moore, the freshman. Garrett Sams from the right side rattles it in there. First bucket of the game for Garrett Sams, and a much-needed basket for North Florida.
Well, Connecticut has not let up in their pursuit defensively on the perimeter. That time they got a little soft. They didn't rotate up on the wing.
Connecticut shooting 61% so far, as we're coming up on 7:20 to go in the first half. There's Adams off the bounce, and that's a silky smooth jumper by Jalen Adams, who's got 4 points.
Well, again, they've faced so much zone this year. Now they're playing zone themselves, that they're getting better at attacking zones. That time they went into the foul line, shrunk the defense, came back out on the perimeter to Adams.
Jalen Adams on the watch list for the Cousy Award, which is given out to the best point guard in America, but he really is more of a combo guard.
Ooh, that guy's a combo guard. That guy can do it all right there, and you will not be able to relax for a second just because he knows how to create that space. He backs you up, and then just that quick release over the top.
Dallas Moore, he's in double figures. He's got 10. He's hit 3 from beyond the arc. Knocked away by Bottiger. Sams all the way to the goal, and coming up well short. Quick hands, knocks it away, and it's Adams who comes out of there with it for Connecticut. Spotted Purvis underneath, going to stay with Connecticut off the kick ball.
Look, he'll just create that space. He has just a little bit of a rub screen. He takes him off the dribble, takes Adams down into the gap, and then just that quick pull-up. Just a really good balanced move from the top.
Dallas Moore tested the NBA waters during the offseason, the new rule where you can test and then come back if you don't hire an agent. But his coach, Matthew Driscoll, believes that he is going to be an NBA player. That one goes through the wickets of Stephen Enoch and back over to North Florida.
Through the wickets because it wasn't a good delivery by Vance Jackson. He threw it down by his ankles. You have to pitch the ball right up over the top of the shoulder so the big guy can just catch it and make a move.
Bottiger dumping inside, and Banks can't finish, and then top it off, he commits the foul. The new UConn ticket gift card works pretty much like a restaurant gift card. You pick an amount you'd like to give, and the UConn fan you give it to can use it for any UConn Husky ticket purchase. It's a great gift idea and available now at UConntickets.com. Good during the holiday season, Tim.
Absolutely. Everyone's in a holiday mood here today. The officials are on top of their game. Both teams are executing. Connecticut really good pop. Good focus offensively against this zone. Really not settling, moving the ball quickly. Good spacing, going inside, outside.
Adams putting it up for Brima, and that's the third now. The third alley-oop dunk for Amita Brima on the day. And Brima having a strong game. He's got 9 points, well over his season average. Right back the other way, and there's a fearless freshman. That is Garrett Sams, the young man out of Martin, Tennessee.
He's got nice length at the top there, and that's what happens. You pay a little bit too much attention to Moore, and they have some other guys in Botticher and Sams that can knock it down.
Sams is 2 of 2 from beyond the arc as Jalen Adams back the other way, kissing in off the window, and a chance at a conventional three-point play for Jalen Adams.
Well, you talked about Jalen Adams at the beginning of this year, was not slated to play the point guard spot, but with the injury to Gibson, he has had to play the point guard, and that's what he is right now, and he is learning how to run the team and still score and get his own when he needs to.
Well, there's Kevin Ollie, man. It's been a trying season for Kevin so far, but he believes, and I read this quote by Kevin Ollie, progression equals happiness. He wants to see his team continuing to get better. Let's not forget, Tim, they have not started conference play, and despite the early season issues and struggles, there's a long way to go and a chance for this team with a lot of talented players, as Moore cannot finish on that one, to really get their act together.
We were there in Orlando a year ago, and they just pushed all the right buttons, and they won the American Championship in the tournament down in Orlando. But Kevin's teams traditionally have gotten a lot better in February, March, and this team will establish an identity. You're seeing growth already in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
That foul on Wajid Aminu. It's going to send the big man, Amita Brima, to the free throw line. That is the second personal on Aminu.
35, Amita Brima, 2 foul shots.
Brima now 1 of 2 on the free throw line, from the free throw line today.
Well, they went inside early. They went inside to Brima. They went inside to Facey, Enoch as well. And I think as the season moves on, they need to establish those guys as guys they can throw the ball to a little bit. They don't want to center their offense around the forwards because they're not good enough to go to all the time, but it can't be just Adams and no one else. Today they've had a lot better balance offensively.
Dallas Moore has already put up 9 shots. Shot clock now under 5. Bottinger better put it up there, and he doesn't recognize the shot clock winding down, and that's a violation. Ball goes back over to Connecticut.
Again, you could put that in the book as a perfect defensive set. Just locked into the game plan, the execution defensively of when to switch on Moore, when to give help on the pick and roll. Everyone else in good defensive position off the ball.
Vitale, nice up fake. Cannot get it to go down, and the foul, I believe, is on Durham. It's going back over to North Florida. Amita Brima's got 9 points for Connecticut. It's been a high wire act for him so far as the Huskies lead it by 9. Rainy day, nasty outside Gamble Pavilion, but inside, the Connecticut Huskies have opened up a 35-26 lead on North Florida. Don't forget, coming up, join Michelle Yu and Vin Parisi. First half highlights, plus going to hear from Rodney Purvis on his relationship with Coach Kevin Ollie on the UConn men's basketball halftime show presented by your local Ford dealer.
Does anyone get more airtime than Vin Parisi? I mean, he is, outside of you, he's the hardest working man in sports.
That woman right there gets
some she
airtime.
deserves it.
Meg Como. I mean, one of the legends here on the campus of the University.
Where is Eric Freed today?
Connecticut.
I can't believe he's off on a Sunday.
You know, we never see Meg and Eric apart, do we? I mean, we think about them as a team.
Of course, Gino is not here today. He's breaking down tape in his cave at his mansion.
He just keeps winning, does he not? Wajid Aminu trying to work on Purvis. Not only does Purvis block it, but he keeps it inbounds. That's a big-time play. Brima, I should say, and there's Vitale finishing at the other end, but they're going to wave it off. They're going to call an offensive foul on Christian Vitale.
Well, you saw this coming from a mile away. Vitale's got to read the defense a little bit better, and here he comes crashing in. A good play on the defensive end of the floor by North Florida, just getting back to protect the rim. And I like Vitale, though. I like that energy, that toughness, that ability to just put his head down and finish. He did finish the shot, so you have to have that mentality. That's going to happen if you get out and run and push the ball ahead. And I don't think Kevin minds that at all, because they are really scoring in a lot of different ways today.
I believe there was a clock issue. They never started the clock, but they never stopped it, so they're going to have to reset, which they have done right now. So that was the check over at the scorer's table.
Thank God we didn't go to your best friend, the dreaded replay.
We see way too much of that.
Very good crew here today. Jeff Clark, John Hampton, and Mike Stevens.
Mike's a couple of Final Fours, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. These guys are hardworking as well. Not only Vin Parisi works every day, the officials do as well.
There's a missed three by Carlos Odom. Vital putting it on the deck into the land of the Giants. And finishing off the offensive glass is the fellow freshman, Jawan Durham.
Well, Vital probably took the ball in there a little bit too deep, but I like the aggressive play against the zone.
Wow, that is way up off the window by Dallas Moore. He is a very good finisher at the rim. 68% at the rim a season ago.
Not many guys can get the ball up on the glass over Amita Brima and convert, but Moore's a special player.
He's got a dozen points and a travel on Amita Brima back over to North Florida as they continue to hang around here in the first half. They're down just 9 as we're just over 2.5 minutes to go here in the first half at Gamble Pavilion on the campus of UConn.
Well, that's good play defensively by North Florida. I don't know why more teams don't do that to Amita Brima. Just make him catch it. When he catches it in traffic, present that second defender, make him a passer.
Sam's trying to go to work on Purvis. Throws up a wild shot, gets it rejected, stays with it. Bottiger with the shot clock winding down. And it can't be saved by Romello Banks, and back over to UConn.
Well, the biggest difference today, Gary, in what we've seen from UConn pretty much all season is their ability to move the ball and take good shots, good shot selection. Taylor talked about it earlier, how the team's really been emphasizing that in their practices this week with the week off about shot selection, getting into the film room, understanding. And that's one of the biggest things young teams don't understand. When is a good shot, when isn't a good shot? So I think today they've done a much better job of sharing the ball, moving it, better spacing, and understanding what a good shot is.
Vance Jackson is checked back into the game for Connecticut. Kenton Facey, beautiful body control and finishing at the 10.
And also balance to their scoring. We talked about it. Fast break, go inside, stuff from the perimeter, and also the baseline. Facey.
Kenton Facey now with 8 points. That's double his season average. Odom hammered by Brima, and he's going to go to the free throw line and shoot 2. That's the second personal now on Amita Brima.
We've seen Kenton Facey make that feathery jump shot from the high post. Now putting the ball on the floor from the baseline. Just great delivery from Adams. Just learning how to be an effective point guard running the team, finding the open man.
Amita Brima takes a seat with those 2 personals. Carlos Odom knocked down the first free throw. He's been seeing more playing time in recent days. He's played at least 18 minutes per game over his last 3 games. And those were his first points of the game. Adams. Enoch cannot hang on to another one. Here comes North Florida. From way downtown, and a very soft, feathery touch. It gets the bounce, the shooter's bounce. Dallas Moore, another 3.
Well, that's where Adams left the ground on that last drive on the baseline. Had nowhere to go, kind of had to deliver it to Enoch in an uncomfortable spot, and that's where Adams has to be more under control.
45 seconds to go now in this first half. Connecticut's lead has been cut to 6. Adams had a lane to the bucket and gave it up to Purvis, who travels back over to North Florida.
Well, with Dallas Moore on your side, nothing's comfortable because he can go get points very quickly. And you see after a turnover, he's just going to run out and pull the trigger from downtown. And they're going to go into the pick and roll game a little bit, try to free him up, run him through opposite, setting the down screen for him.
He leads everybody in the game with 15 points. That one is knocked away by Adams, going to stay with North Florida with 16 seconds to go on the shot clock, and a 10-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock here in the first half. Dallas Moore is 4 of 7 from beyond the arc. Bottiger from the right wing, and Bottiger gets another one to go down. That's his second 3 of the day, as we're under 10 seconds, and Vitale races it across to call a timeout and set up a final play here for UConn.
Well, that's a youthful mistake on that possession. Vance Jackson, as a freshman, not remembering the game plan from earlier in a game where you have to stay with Bottiger as well, and they don't leave him loose, and see the closeout just not close enough. Jackson on a perimeter, you got to get up into him. He's 6'8" versus 6'5". You got to get right up on his shoe tops on the catch.
North Florida on an 8-0 run over the last minute and 8 seconds to close this game back down to 3. They have attempted 17 three-pointers here in the first half.
Well, UConn has done a good job of protecting the lane, helping out on the interior, and really taking away more in his drives to the basket. So North Florida's done a good job adjusting just on the drive and kicks and finding people open on the weak side.
Final 7.5 seconds here, first half. Connecticut leads it by 3. Purvis giving it up to Adams. Attacking. Has it rejected, but off the offensive glass there, Stephen Enoch at the buzzer to open the lead to 5, which is the largest halftime lead of the season for Connecticut. Previously, they led Boston University by 4 at the break.
Well, a big plus for this half has been Stephen Enoch and Kenton Facey, but Enoch finishing in traffic with the left to give UConn a little bit of a lift.
They are reviewing to make sure that Enoch got the shot off before the light came on. It is confirmed, and so the bucket does count for Stephen Enoch, as Connecticut shoots 61% in the first half to lead it 41-36. On the other side of a break, going to send you back to our New York studios. Vin Parisi alongside Michelle Yu, our halftime show. Connecticut leads it by 5. UConn men's basketball on SNY is brought to you by Nissan. Hurry in to Nissan's Go Rogue year-end event and save on the entire Nissan lineup. Shop ChooseNissan.com. By Town Fair Tire, every brand at the guaranteed lowest price. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. And by Subaru of New England, supplying all-wheel drive vehicles with a passion for winter adventure. We get a check. First half stats presented by Connecticut Lighting Centers. UConn leads it by 5. They shot 61% in that first half and 24 points in the paint. They dominated inside on North Florida. Let's check in right now with Taylor Rooks. She's with Associate Head Coach Glenn Miller.
Coach, what did your offense do well in the first half that you need to see carry throughout the game?
We have to keep on getting the ball inside. Our bigs are scoring. We're penetrating their zone defense, so that has to continue in the second half. We've got to take care of the ball, though. 9 turnovers, and we had 4 in our last 7 possessions. So turn over the ball with an 11-point lead, and then we have to defend the 3-point line also.
Thanks for your time. Back to you, Gary.
All right, Taylor and Glenn, we thank you both. We heard Glenn right there say that their bigs are scoring. Amita Brima, he leads Connecticut. He's got 9 points, and he made all of his shots in the first half, 4 for 4 from the field. Many of them, Tim, of the high percentage.
Well, he was dominant, and there's no question about it. Connecticut has done a better job moving the ball up the floor, but also attacking the zone. And to play against the zone, you've got to get the ball in between the top and the bottom of the zone. You see Connecticut does a good job right there. They get in the middle of the lane, and then they throw over the back. And here, down to the baseline, the skip pass, everybody turns out, and then Brima, they lose him behind the zone, and that's been very, very effective for Connecticut, going inside, then back out, and then either getting the open shot or attacking from the perimeter or going back to the rim, over the back, over the top with the lob. But again, Glenn made some good, excellent points, turning the ball over. They've got the 11 assists, but they're trying to play faster, and the turnovers will happen. They have to do a better job, though, after a turnover, getting back and protecting the 3-point line.
It's Moore and Sams at the guards for North Florida. Bottiger working off the bounce. Banks inside the offensive rebound and the foul on Amita Brima. And there's what we talked about, Timmy, the ability and the need to rebound while playing the zone.
Well, Brima just loses Banks on the shot. He just turns, and he's got to take one quick little step to the baseline just to pin him or tag him or wherever way you want to call it, or block out, and just put a body on him. Just make sure he doesn't get that inside position. Instead, he just turns and looks at the rim.
It's a big foul because it's the third on the big man, Amita Brima. He takes a seat, and Stephen Enoch is in as Romello Banks misses on the free throw. He's got 9 points as North Florida trails it just by 3. Kenton Facey, little teardrop in the lane, nothing but nylon for Kenton Facey.
Well, I really like the way Connecticut is using Facey in the middle of that zone, kind of getting him just below the foul line area. He's got the effective little floater, and he also has become a good passer at the rim.
Kenton Facey had 7 and 13 rebounds against Syracuse, 6 and 5 rebounds last week against Ohio State. So he's played with more confidence. He's played better in recent days. Shot clock at 5. Moore being guarded by Purvis. He's going to have to hoist one up there, which he does off the front iron, and it crawls over the front iron and in.
That's what the big-time scorers can do, Gary. They just get that loose rim touch from the top.
Dallas Moore's got 18 points. He's made 5 threes in the game. UConn trying to work on the middle of that North Florida zone off the bounce. Don't see it that often, but Vance Jackson, the ability to put it on the deck and finish.
Well, he has a good looking stroke, and he will make shots as he progresses in his career, and he's starting to look a lot more comfortable out there playing on that wing spot in the zone.
Coming in averaging just about 7 a game. He's got 3 so far as Sam's loses it, and Connecticut looking to run. Purvis spotting a Facey, cutting in. He tried for the dunk. Not even close. There's Vance Jackson, well short. And then to top it off, he bumps into Amino and picks up the foul.
Well, Connecticut has done a very good job of paying attention to Dallas Moore. And here on the pick and roll, they're supposed to switch out, and Facey's just a little bit slow getting out, protecting. And this man doesn't need much room. He finds a way to get it up. And he rises up pretty quick, but he's got that left-handed release where he kind of brings it back over his shoulders. Very hard to contest it.
Well, Matthew Driscoll was telling me that he really wanted this guy in his program and didn't know if it was going to happen. And Matthew was on a cruise ship and was sort of out of touch and got off that cruise ship, had about 300 voice messages because Moore was trying to get a hold of him to tell him he was going to commit to North Florida. And he said it was one of the better phone calls he got coming off a cruise in his life, as Moore dribbling through the entire Connecticut defense, but nothing there, and he backs it out. Baby hook inside by Romello Banks. He's in double figures, and North Florida is not going away. They cut the lead down to 2.
Well, they're paying so much attention to Moore and guys in the perimeter that they're allowing Banks just to free wheel down in the box, and he's made a few of those little jump hooks. They've got to put more pressure on him.
Tough shot in the lane. Jalen Adams dipping under, calling for a foul. Didn't get it, but he finishes at the 10. Jalen Adams now with 9 points down the lane. It's Banks, and it's rejected. It was Enoch and Facey. They both got a piece of it. Facey, one dribble, and a soft touch. That one falls down. Kenton Facey now, that is a season high for him. He's got 11 points.
Well, again, Facey showing that ability to get to the rim, and the soft touch with the left. North Florida didn't run back on D.
Sams keeps alive the Banks miss. A fresh 30 seconds for North Florida. Banks has it knocked away, but it's a foul on Connecticut.
Well, here Banks gets caught in no man's land right underneath the rim, and they kind of jog back and don't pick up Adams, and Adams makes him pay, finding Facey in transition.
The foul was on Jalen Adams. That's his second on the day.
If I'm North Florida, I give Romello Banks another look down low to see if Stephen Enoch can guard him one-on-one. They have not shown the ability to play him one-on-one in the box.
Right on cue. There goes Banks. Nice spin move. And it's tracked down by Jalen Adams.
And when he does catch it down there, Connecticut has to give him more support because he is not a passer.
Boy, that's a great feed inside. Adams to Facey. Couldn't finish. The foul is on Banks. He's going to shoot two.
Well, fast-paced basketball. UConn, I think this is the way they have to play the rest of the season, because when they get into a half-court grinded-out game, they do not have enough answers. But in transition, they have some guys that can get loose, especially Adams playing unselfishly, finding the open man, and Facey running the floor.
Kenton Facey now 3 of 3 at the free throw line today as Carlos Odom checks in for North Florida, and the big man, Romello Banks, going to take a seat. Banks with 3 fouls now. Kenton Facey now with 14 points. That's just 1 shy of his career high. And UConn has opened the lead back up to 8 here as we're coming up on 16 minutes to go from Gamble Pavilion here in Storrs, Connecticut.
2-2-1 back to man, and they've been switching on all ball screens on Moore. Purvis got to stay down and low. They don't want to put Adams on him. He's got some foul issues.
Boy, the quick hands. Christian Vitale just checking in, going to work. And he's hammered by Bottiger. He's going to shoot two, and Christian Vitale immediately making an impact coming in off the bench.
A lot of toughness. UConn extending the lead with good hard-nosed defense and pushing the ball up the floor.
UConn Huskies lead North Florida 51-43 as we get a check of the drive of the game. It's presented by Subaru and Jalen Adams, the ability to put it on the deck into the land of the big men and finish.
Well, we've talked about Gary, just Jalen Adams, his involvement becoming a real lead guard, and he is a scoring guard. There's no doubt about it. He has to continue to do that, but he also has to run the team. He has to get other people involved. I think he's done a really good job of that. Shown great vocal leadership on the floor. You see him even right now. He's speaking to his team in the huddle, out on the court. He's just really shown me a lot of maturity as a sophomore. He's grown up quickly in 1 year.
Closing in on his second career double-double. He's got 9 and 9 assists so far for the Huskies. Well, was his coming out party to you what he did in Maui, where he was named to the all-tournament team and just had big-time games against Oregon and Oklahoma State and Chaminade?
Anytime someone mentions the name Kemba and you're in the same sentence with you, then you know you're moving forward on the list here in Connecticut. And you know, to me, Jalen Adams at the end of last season, I thought really stepped up, and in the American Conference tournament down in Orlando showed that he was going to be a big-time player down the road for UConn.
Christian Vitale knocked down 1 of 2 at the free throw line. It's Vitale and Adams, Purvis, Enoch, and Facey on the floor for Connecticut. Dallas Moore and Aaron Bottiger, Rashid Aminu, Garrett Sands, and Carlos Odom for North Florida as the shot clock is at 2. Adams hoisted up there, but before he did, he stepped on the sideline. So it's a turnover going back over to UConn.
Well, that was an interesting possession for North Florida against UConn's defense. It was a 2-3, but when Moore dribbled down to the wing, he attracted 3 defenders, provoking the turnover.
8th turnover of the game for North Florida. UConn has 9. Enoch going to the left hand, too hard off the back iron, fights for the offensive rebound, and then is hit by Odom. And he's going to shoot two, but great tenacity off his own miss.
Well, this guy has been in the gym. There's no doubt about it, and I don't have to be here to know it, because you can just see the confidence level and his ability not only to finish shots, but get better position to get open around the rim in the second effort as well. Stephen
Enoch, the sophomore out of Norwalk, Connecticut. He's a big man. He's 6'11", 258 pounds. And I think one thing we've seen from him, and the maturity is slowly growing, the ability to use both hands around the rim.
Well, yes, and he catches the ball most of the time, and he's doing a better job of keeping it up above his waist and not bringing it down where the guards can strip him. And now just a softer touch with both hands, as you said. And now playing in the middle of that zone, doing a good job of communicating, talking. And UConn a little small to play this 2-3 with Purvis in the back, but they're very active on the perimeter.
Tornado run for Connecticut to open the lead back to double digits. Bottinger behind the Odom screen. That comes up short. The freshman Sams, contact, going to shoot two.
UConn doing a good job of kind of disguising their zone right now. They're starting out in a 2-3, and they're being aggressive on the top, and they're letting North Florida kind of get set in their zone offense. And as soon as Moore comes off that pick and roll, they seem to be switching almost to a man-to-man or a matchup zone where everybody is just locked in on one man, and then they give a lot of help and support on Moore on the perimeter.
That foul was on Kenton Facey. That's his first and the fourth on Connecticut here in the second half. Garrett Sams coming off a 23-point game last time out against Thomas University. Makes one of two, and it goes off the hands of Enoch, going to stay with North Florida. As I mentioned, North Florida not intimidated in any way coming in here today to play against a team of national regard as Bottinger knocks down the three. They've played Auburn and Miami and LSU and Florida and Syracuse and Arkansas, and so their eyes are not too wide for this environment.
No, they're absolutely. They've gone on the road. They've had a couple home games against the Iron as well. And, you know, they played LSU tough. They played Syracuse decent. And this afternoon, even though they're taking UConn's best punch, they're still hanging around.
Rodney Purvis spotting Vital. Boy, beautiful move between defenders and then finishing at the rim. The freshman, Christian Vital, now in double figures. He's got 11.
He plays with no fear. There's no doubt about it. Sometimes doesn't make the right decision, but that time just got in there, knifed his way to the rim.
And look at Vital again, right in the middle of things. And I believe he's going to be called for the foul as he went to the floor with Dallas Moore.
Well, Vital, you see, he just finds a way to pump fake, splits the two defenders, then in traffic. Great body control.
Thing about Christian Vital, even before this season began, Kevin Ollie said he really liked the toughness. He's not a big guy, he's a small guy. He's 6'1", 6'2", $178, the freshman out of Queens Village, but he plays bigger than his size.
Well, I like his temperament on the floor as well. He's toughness. Now he's out there just face guarding Dallas Moore. He seems to have good basketball IQ.
Nick Malunga has checked in, number 23. High arcing jump shot. The three goes down for Malunga.
Well, that was good. Good play by Moore, understanding he received the double team coming off that little ball screen at the top, and nobody rotated up to Malunga.
That's the first bucket of the game now for Nick Malunga to cut the lead back to 5. Jackson inside of Facey, who rises up and sends it down. Beautiful two-man game.
Well, it is. That's just a perfect play, and that's UConn at its best. A little pin down screen. Jackson read the help, over help. Nice roll to the rim by Facey.
That's a new career high now for Kenton Facey. He's got 16 points. Boy, almost the identical play. Vital. Boy, he hits the deck very hard, and he's going to shoot two.
Well, this is just a set play. They swing the wings through, and then they pin down, a little pin down screen. And on a good screen, the guy that's usually open the most is the screener, and then Facey just a little rub screen, and you see Odom helps out a little bit too much. No one rotates back over. Good presence of mind by Jackson to read the defense. He felt the double. Bounce pass, perfect.
That foul was on Wajid Aminu. That's his second, going to send Vital to the line to shoot two. Vital, those big free throws at the Garden. With the game tied, final couple of seconds against Syracuse. Ice water in his veins, young man back in his hometown.
He does not look afraid of anything. You can just see the way he plays out there on the floor. And obviously, as the competition gets better, he's got to improve his offensive game. But I think the 3 points today that I've seen in the development of UConn over the last few weeks are the freshmen. When you look at Jackson, he looks a lot more comfortable out there on the floor, playing out on the wing at 6'8". Made a couple shots, made a shot off the bounce, got into the lane, made some good passes. Enoch, as well as a sophomore, nice touch around the rim, higher percentage today, better ability to get open near the basket. And then, of course, Vital, we've talked about him in his overall game.
13 points now for Christian Vital. That ties his young career high. Also at 13 against Boston University. Dallas Moore giving it up for Banks. Let's check in on today's UConn trivia question presented by Mercedes-Benz, the fastest Husky to reach 1,000 career points. The answer coming just a little bit. LaMelo Banks, a 55% free throw shooter, and the first one goes off the back iron. Banks missed all of last season following ankle surgery. He got his ankle rolled up on last time out against Thomas University. There was some question about his health, but he was fine. Got the start here today.
Well, Banks has played a solid game so far this afternoon. I think that's a positive for Matt Driscoll, getting consistency from Banks moving forward as they get into their league schedule and don't have to play the high majors that they have, this being the 7th.
Rodney Purvis, 15-footer on the way, around and out. He is yet to score. Enoch. Purvis, again, there's Rodney Purvis, finally gets one to go. That's his first bucket of the afternoon.
Well, Stephen Enoch kept this ball alive, though, making things happen with his size. The extra effort didn't finish, but Rodney Purvis said, "Thank you, finally." Oh, I'm not scoreless. Great effort.
Our next UConn women's game on SNY going to be New Year's Day from down in Orlando, Florida. The #1 ranked Huskies going to take on the Knights of Central Florida. Our coverage beginning with the Connecticut Lottery pregame show at 12:30, only right here on SNY. Kevin Olly's team shooting 59% on the afternoon. And Tim, you know, they had the full 8 days off for final exams, which really didn't finish until today. A lot of the students had to finish today because of the snow yesterday, but you wondered how they would come out, but they've been pretty fluid offensively.
Well, give Kevin Olly and his staff a lot of credit because, you know, a season can go a lot of different ways. When you lose to Wagner, you lose to Northeastern, then you lose 3 players, key players for the season, and they've kind of retooled, refocused, and understand there's a lot of basketball left. I like the way they're playing more of an up-tempo style this afternoon.
Dallas Moore cannot get that one to go as it's going to stay on the North Florida side. Let's check in with Taylor right now.
Thanks, Gary. You know, you guys were talking about the improved shot selection, and that's because they worked on that all week. When I spoke to associate head coach Glenn Miller, he said, you know, sometimes the guys want to score so bad they have a tendency to just kind of throw it up. So they wanted to fix that. Christian Vital said on the days off, the guys would go in the gym at night and work on that through the night. And they're reaping the benefits right now, Gary.
There's the freshman Garrett Sams. He's in double figures now with 10 points. He's 3 of 3 from beyond the arc, and every time Connecticut opens the lead, and that dozen-point lead was their largest of the day, North Florida tries to chip back away. Vance Jackson for Stephen Enoch.
Well, so far, Connecticut's done a very good job of switching defenses, kind of keeping North Florida off balance, but you have to pay better attention to the three-point line.
Ill-advised by Nick Malunga, Enoch would have none of it. But it's going to stay with the Ospreys.
Well, good team defense, and here North Florida has to make that extra pass when they get inside as UConn helps.
Connecticut now 11 blocks as a team this afternoon. Enoch way out to defend. Dallas Miller loses it. That's a turnover.
Well, he's allowed because he is facing double and triple teams, and he doesn't have a lot of experienced help out there with him. And he's played unselfishly at times, but he's trying to make something happen, keep his team in the game. But UConn's done a good job of paying attention to Dallas Moore.
Rodney Purvis, little up fake. Boy, that's good rhythm. Rodney Purvis, his second bucket of the game, and that's a 3. He's got 6.
Well, at times this year, Rodney Purvis has forced his offense, but I like today he's understood when he's been open. He hasn't really tried to force things against the zone. He's done a good job of moving the ball. That time, got a shot in rhythm.
They need Rodney Purvis to come up big. Played the full 40 minutes against Ohio State as Sams can't dial it up from long distance.
Well, he hasn't done much this afternoon. He had that putback on before the previous timeout, and it just, as you said, Gary, right in rhythm. Nice little pump fake, step through. He's got a good-looking shot, and he just has to relax out there in the perimeter. I think he's getting used to being, it's just he and Adams out there kind of together with Vital. Playing a little 3 as well. Well, Florida playing a little matchup zone at the top, a little 1-2-2.
Rodney Purvis, high arcing jump shot. Now Rodney Purvis is beginning to feel it.
As you know, Gary, the Reebok Club on Thursdays at noon, sometimes you just get hot. Give the hot man the ball.
Boy, you can see the difference in the jump shot. Gets his legs under him, gets that high arc on that jumper, and it's really pretty coming out of his hands. Right back the other way, Dallas Moore, and he's suddenly gone cold, and Enoch is knocked out of bounds by his own teammate, Jalen Adams.
Well, this is his spot, and UConn does a good job of sending Rodney Purvis through. He kind of gets lost on the other side of the floor. They reverse the ball, then he cuts back through on the baseline, and UConn has given North Florida 3 or 4 different looks against the zone, and I like their offensive concepts today. Much improved over the past games we've seen when they've played against the zone.
UConn on a 13-3 run over the last 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Their largest lead of the game at 15. There's the freshman, Sams now. He's got a dozen.
Well, he has to make Matt Driscoll smile. There's no doubt about that. Garrett Sams has had a nice season as a freshman, 9 points a game, but today he looks like he belongs against any sort of competition. Kind of fearless out there on the floor, making things happen from the perimeter and in the lane.
Under 9 minutes to go here in the second half. Connecticut by 13. Facey, too hard. UConn has one more non-league game against Auburn on Friday before they open league play against the University of Houston. I believe that's Bottiger who reaches in and picks up the personal.
Well, when you look at the American Conference as they move forward, obviously Houston is a very good team. They're an upper-level team. Cincinnati is scoring a little bit more this year than they have in the past. I think Cincinnati is there to stay. SMU is limited in their numbers, but they do have 5 or 6 really good players, so they're going to be there as well. Temple, you have to respect Fran Dunphy and the wins they've had this year over West Virginia and Florida State. So American Conference will be interesting. UCF looks like they're improved.
Johnny Dawkins down there now.
Johnny Dawkins is there, and more importantly, Taco Fall's there at 7'6".
That makes any coach look good, does it not? That
Johnny,
size?
Exactly.
Rodney Purvis went from not scoring. Suddenly he's in double figures with 11, one of 3 Connecticut players in doubles. Sams took an extra step trying to get it to Aminu.
Well, UConn switching defenses, whether it's been man or zone, it's been pretty much the same concepts. A lot of pressure on the perimeter, making North Florida put the ball on the floor here in the second half. And then when the ball does come in the lane, they're doing a good job of rotating, giving help to protect.
Mita Brima back into the game for Connecticut with those 3 personal fouls. Brima off the feed. He's hit, going to shoot 2.
No, Rodney Purvis, he's been quiet all afternoon long. Had a nice floor game, but he is catching fire at the right time. UConn extending late.
Time now for the answer to today's trivia question presented by Mercedes-Benz. Who's the fastest Husky to reach 1,000 career points? And the answer is Wes Balasuknia. Played here at Connecticut 1963 to 1967. Connecticut's career leader in scoring average at over 23 per game. Rodney Purvis on his way to 1,000 career points at UConn at 966. He's got the last 11 points for UConn in today's game.
Really impressed with Rodney Purvis, just his overall body language today. Sometimes even when he doesn't score, he gets a little frustrated, shows that emotion, that negative emotion at times, just frustration. But today, just he and Adams working very well together, not only just running the team, but I think leadership-wise, they're so important. And I think that's one of Kevin Ollie's best traits as a coach is his ability to get his guards together on the same page, and he's shown that over the years. And I think this team will surprise moving forward. They are who they are, and Kevin understands that, and they're starting to run more, which I like as well.
Mita Brima misses 2 free throws. He is 1 of 5 from the free throw line this afternoon. Coming into the day shooting 50% from the line. Shot clock coming up on 5. Dallas Moore double team, nowhere to go. Shot clock at 2 now. He's got to hoist it up, which he does on the run, and it won't go down. Jalen Adams out of there with it for Connecticut. That's simply not good offense right there.
Well, it isn't, because they've got to get some more movement away from Dallas Moore. UConn's paying so much attention, and someone else has to get open, set some screens, or set some screens for Moore.
Mita Brima up at the rim, slams down another off the feed from Jalen Adams. They were right on the same page.
Well, they're wearing North Florida out right now, and it starts right here on the defense end of the floor. They're getting up into Moore. They're giving a lot of help, and North Florida a little slow on the retreat. And they've done this numerous times, whether it's man or zone. They love this play. It's just a simple little back screen, and they don't even set the screen because North Florida does not rotate on the backside.
Mita Brima now into double figures with 11. He's one of 4 Connecticut players in doubles. Vitale has 13, Facey 16, and Purvis and Brima each with 11. Bottiger goes to the free throw line for North Florida and misses on the front end of the 1-and-1.
Foul on Ospreys, number 11, Garrett Sands.
That foul was on Sims. By the way, as we were getting ready for today's game, I couldn't think of another school in America with the nickname of the Ospreys, so I did a little research and tried to figure out exactly. Do you know, Coach Welsh? I'll put you on the spot here, exactly what an Osprey is.
I'm not a good nickname guy. I like to use the school name, the nickname. It's fine. It gets confusing. You know, you get into the Atlantic 10, you've got a few teams with the same nickname, and that becomes confusing. So we just stay with the first name. But yes, what is it?
A fish-eating bird of prey.
Ah. Okay.
I did not know before I looked it up. So I know
you had your material ready for the 17-point lead.
I put you on the spot right there.
All those Mets pre-games, I've never heard you go in that direction, but
no.
I'm glad you're showing your versatility as a broadcaster.
Shot clock at 10, Jalen Adams, and Connecticut up by 17 here this afternoon on the Ospreys of North Florida. Wajid Aminu, double teamed, has it knocked away. Sam stays with it and finishes at the glass. So Connecticut leads it by 15 here with 6 minutes to go at Gamble Pavilion. UConn men's basketball on SNY is brought to you by Trantolo and Trantolo, Connecticut's personal injury law firm Save time, call 9 by DeGiorgi Roofing and Siding. Our family serving your family since 1933. By Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. And by People's United Bank NA. See what know-how can do for you. The holiday spirit certainly very much in the air. Now our camera's hard at work shooting that video last night, and that happens to be the home of our esteemed producer, Gerard Guilfoyle. That is a guy who gets out and decorates his home.
Well, I'd like to be able to comment, but after all these years of knowing our good friend, I've never got the invite to the house for even a Christmas cookie, Gary. So maybe one day we'll be close enough. He is an Iona graduate, for God's sake. We only won 3 straight league titles when he was in school. I thought that was good enough for him, but can't get an invite.
Bryman Afasi, who finishes inside. There's a bump by Amita Bryman. That's going to be his 4th personal foul, and Afasi leads the way now for Connecticut. He's got 18.
Well, Kenton Afasi, we talked about his improved in overall confidence as an offensive player, but he has a good feel, better feel than I thought. He's just moving into open space, and they've planted him in the middle of that zone, not at the foul line area per se, but just below the foul line where he could be a little bit more effective off the bounce with that little baby hook. And he's doing a really good job of moving into open space without the basketball.
C.J. Fisher, the redshirt freshman out of Miami, number 5, is checked in for North Florida. Just airballed at the free throw line. Easy for me to say, Tim. There's Purvis, nice up fake. So 5 minutes to go here in the second half. Connecticut, a comfortable 17-point lead as Amita Bryma comes from the weak side and swats Garrett Sam shot into the front row with, I believe, 2 hands.
Well, Connecticut, it's been a kind of a free-flowing game on both ends of the floor this afternoon, and they came out with a good pop in their step early. They had balance on the offensive end, but defensively have done a good job of staying with the game plan.
Off the turnover, Rodney Purvis backs it out. Enoch back into the game for Connecticut, number 13, as Bryma sits with 4 personals. Purvis giving it up to Adams. 15-footer, nothing but nylon for Jalen Adams. And so his second career double-double. His first was against Chaminade over at the Maui Invitational.
Well, moving the ball, moving the men. UConn, great spacing, ball movement, player movement, unselfish basketball.
He's got 11 points and 10 assists off the rejection. Here come the Huskies again. Vattel 1-on-3. Wisely backs it out. Wajid Aminu came in averaging just under 10 a game. He has not scored, so that's been a big void for North Florida. Purvis was so wide open. And they'll back it out now.
Well, Aminu's going to be a good player for North Florida. There's no doubt about it, but he's only a freshman. He's coming in here playing against a lot of size up front, just a little bit overwhelmed this afternoon.
Second leading scorer on the team, and again, 0-4 from the field so far today. Jalen Adams bumped on his way to the bucket by Aminu, and he's going to shoot 1-1. So the UConn Huskies firmly in control, 76-57. Did you make that, Timmy?
I think that's at Gerard's house.
Michelle Yu alongside Vin Parisi. Make sure to keep it right here after the final whistle for the People's United Bank postgame show. I will be joined by the one and only as we'll have reaction from this one, including Kevin Ollie's postgame interview. We'll see you after the game. Back to the gentlemen up in stores.
All right, Michelle, look forward to the postgame broadcast. UConn has held their last 3 opponents, Boston University and Syracuse and Ohio State, to a combined 30% shooting, and they have held North Florida to just 35% shooting today. So getting it done on the defensive end as we get a look at Dallas Moore. He's got just 3 points here in the second half, and he's got a seat on the bench at the moment.
No, they wore him out. There's no doubt about it. They just sent a second and sometimes a third defender at Dallas Moore, and he worked for every point this afternoon. And there's a lot on that young man's shoulders playing with a young basketball team. But give Connecticut a ton of credit. They had a good game plan against Moore, but also second half, even though they're still pushing the pace offensively, have taken care of the ball much better. Shot selection improved, and also player movement and spacing on the offensive end of the floor in the half court.
Connecticut looking to go to 5-5 on the season, even their record. That's Aminu short. Odom, the offensive rebound. UConn firmly in control here with under 3 minutes to go. The Huskies will not play again until Friday. They host Auburn at the XL Center in downtown Hartford, Connecticut. Rodney Purvis, the steal. Will back it off and run some clock. Jalen Adams, 13 points, 10 assists, 5 rebounds on the afternoon. Enoch, mid-range. Facey the rebound, but it was taken away, and it's Rodney Purvis who comes out of there with it for Connecticut.
Well, Vitale's important, Gary, not only the fact that we talked about his headiness and his toughness as an offensive player, but Facey does a nice job again, posting up, doesn't finish, but he also can run a little point. And they've done that today. They've pushed Adams down to the wing and kind of had he and Purvis down on the baseline, and Vitale can run a little bit of point. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and that'll free up Adams at times to become more of a scorer.
UConn on their way to their first win this season here at Gampel Pavilion. Don't forget, they began the year losing to both Wagner and Northeastern. The UConn men return to the XL Center, as I mentioned, on Friday. Going to take on Auburn. Tickets on sale now at UConnTickets.com as Bruce Pearl going to bring his team into Hartford. Walk-ons making their way onto the court here. Christian Foxen, number 24, and Michael Noyes, who has earned a scholarship. Restinel Lamote also on the floor for UConn. So Kevin Ollie, the luxury. Haven't been many of these this season, Tim.
You know the genesis of the name walk-on, where it came from? I mean, I don't really like it. Walk-on, the walk-ons. We all call them that. I mean, coaches call them, the players call each other that. We're walk-ons, but it's got to be a better term.
Well, they walk into the coach's office basically and say, I'm here, I'd like to be a part of your program.
You ever watch the practice? Not a lot of walking with the walk-ons. They really are a big part of UConn. They always have been. This goes back to the Jim Calhoun days. I mean, they are out there grinding, and the first 10 players go against the walk-ons quite a bit in practice. It's an interesting philosophy. It's worked. There's no doubt about it. But you have to have a good group. There's no doubt about it. And if there were some foul issues in the Ohio State game, and you wondered if you're going to see one of these young men come in to play, and at some point this year they may be called upon to get some quality minutes.
Well, with only the 8 scholarship players, it is a possibility as Kenton Facey tries to get to the 10, and he's hacked on his way by Osborne Blunt, who's come in for North Florida.
See, there's not very often that can stump you. You stumped me on the Osprey.
Right. Well, I do know this, and occasionally you have a walk-on who turns out to be a big-time player. There are stories like this as we get a check. The player of the game presented by People's United Bank. It's Kenton Facey, who's had a tremendous game. He's got 19 points now and 9 rebounds. A guy like Ronnie Cycli at Syracuse was not recruited, walked into Jim Boeheim's office as we get a look at the numbers on Kenton Facey and said, I'm here. Nobody really knew much about him. Went on to have a terrific career and then a great NBA career.
He didn't write any checks for tuition as your parents did, though. He was on scholarship from day one, and there's a great round of applause for Kenton Facey. I mean, How can't you be happy for that young man? He just played his heart out. He continues to grow and develop as a senior.
20 points for Kenton Facey on 7 of a dozen shooting on the afternoon. Tremendous game for Kenton Facey as we're at 45 seconds to go here at Gamble. Connecticut firmly in control. Benedict Todd missing as he's checked in now for the Ospreys. Boy, the crowd loves to get the walk-ons into the scoring column. Noise. Boy, he hit a clear lane to the bucket. Final 15 seconds. Boy, Noise wants to shoot it.
Noise finding that out. There's air in the ball. Doing a lot of dribbling. Well, it might have been a 12 to 15 dribble possession.
You know, listen, you saw those smiles on the Connecticut bench as time expires right here as UConn gets the win 80-59. And man, they needed it. They really did need a game like this.
Not only they needed a win in this building, which is their first of the year, but a comfortable win and a confidence builder heading into stiffer competition.
UConn got terrific play off the bench. They got 22 points off the bench, 40 fast break points on the day, which was huge. I take that back, make that points in the paint, 40 points in the paint for Connecticut, which was a big part of this afternoon's win. And, you know, Kevin Ollie went to Kenton Facey in his starting lineup today, and it paid very big dividends.
Well, this was no fluke today. Facey has shown over the past few games that he is a growing offensive player. He's got to continue to rebound. Obviously, against bigger players, he's got to be able to do it in traffic, but I liked his feel out there on the floor today. And UConn very unselfishly offensively and good team defense as well.
Let's check in with Taylor right now. She's with, I would imagine, a very happy head coach. Taylor?
Coach, after 8 days off, your guys come in with high energy, get a win. How would you evaluate their play today?
Oh, they played great. You know, the Ohio State game was a little tough for us. We played very, very hard, but I didn't think we played smart at times. And guys just stuck with it today, I should say. And, you know, it was just great to see our guys. We're student athletes first, and they did a wonderful job through their final week. And then come prepared for a game. I tip my hats off to them, and I'm very, very happy with their effort today, but I'm very happy with their effort throughout the week for their final exams.
And Kenton Facey had 20 points. How big was he tonight?
He was big. We called that the 4-hole. He was confident. I put him back in the starting lineup, and, you know, he gave me an early present, early Christmas gift with 20 and 9, and then Jalen had a double-double. So I'm very pleased. Now we got to get back to work and keep building on this great win.
And, of course, you guys implemented a lot more zone defense today. What was that like?
That was good, but we played pretty much man-to-man. We wanted to keep Dallas, you know, out of the lane. He's an NBA talent, and I think we controlled him most of the game. He made some tough threes, but we wanted to try to keep everybody not having a start game. And we think we did a good job on their role players, keeping them out of the game, and then, you know, kind of taking Dallas out of his game with different defenses. And I thought we mixed it up very, very well today.
Happy holidays, Coach.
Happy
Congrats.
holidays to you, too. Thank you.
Dallas Moore just one bucket in the second half. He had 15 points in the first half, and he finishes the game with 18 as Connecticut gets their 5th win of the season. We'll come back from Gamble to wrap it up in a moment. The UConn Huskies just one turnover in the second half en route to the 80-59 win over North Florida to even the record at 5-5 on the season. Our next UConn women's game on SNY going to be New Year's Day from Orlando as the #1 ranked Huskies going to take on the Knights of Central Florida. Our coverage getting underway with the Connecticut Lottery pregame show at 12:30. Coming up next, it's the People's United Bank postgame show with Michelle Yu and Vin Parisi. And so for Tim Welsh, Taylor Rooks, producer Gerard Guilfoyle, director John DeMarsico, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Apple. We say so long from Stores and send it back to the studio in New York.